Hi there, everybody. This is Carrie Hamblen, the CEO and President of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, coming to you again with another one of our series with our pals at Nusenda Credit Union, providing you with helpful financial tips on a number of topics, from budgeting and money management to boosting your credit score, what to do with your taxes, and a whole lot more. And today we're talking with Erik Arend, who is the Assistant Vice President of Fraud Prevention and Investigation, and Danika Mares, who is the Fraud Manager for Nusenda Credit Union. Erik and Danika, it is so great to see your faces. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yay! That is great. I've just got to notice that I got something at the door. I am so happy. This is the deal whenever we're recording, right? Is that we always know you are getting notifications prior to us recording. I'm getting a doorbell letting me know that I got a package at my front door right now. We're in this really interesting time. We've talked about like meeting platforms and all the stuff that we get to meet with each other on. And I know that we're not alone when it comes down to thinking about fraud, because people who are committing fraud are very clever people. And we've got all this new technology that came as a result of the pandemic, and people are getting much more clever about it. And so what do you find are kind of some of the most common scams that people should be aware of? And I'm certainly aware of it for the elderly, as we've talked about even prior to recording. But what are some of the common scams that you all are seeing?
Yeah, some of the common scams that you see today, and as you talked about as technology, is you might see these spoofing phone calls. So this is where a fraudster will pretend or call you from a number that it's acting like a different number. So it could be your financial institution, it could be a trusted source that oh, I know this number, I'm going to call it. But it's really a fraudster calling to reach out to you. And that when they get you on the phone, they'll ask you private information because you're like, oh, I'm talking to my financial institution. They need my social, they need my PIN number, they might need any information that I might provide. And because you already trust that phone number, you're liable to give up more information, and then they can then take your account over your account and then make transactions through your debit card, through your any online platform, and then make those transactions. So that's one of the most common ones and one of the most technologically sophisticated ones that we see, because it's calling, okay, you think it's coming from a 505 area code, so this must be trustworthy. But it's actually not. It's coming from somewhere overseas. It's coming from a different state. So really, when you answer the phone, you need to not trust people. You need to verify who they say they are. If they're your financial institution, you want to hang up that phone and call your financial institution from the number that's on your card, because that's really going to be where, oh, now I can trust this communication that I'm making. That is one of the most prevalent ones we see in this holiday season.
And so with that, though, I mean, and I'm seeing this right now, like on social media, that you'll get a call from somebody and they ask if they can hear you. And the idea that you say yes means that they can go ahead and take that clip and use that for other things, whereas you're supposed to say, I can hear you. And it's overwhelming, I think, especially for those of us who might be younger, but even for folks who are older, because as we talked about, that the elderly are targeted, like one of the most targeted populations, because of not knowing about the technology, not knowing that a bank is not going to call you to get your information, and that you should always call them. You might have a text set up, which is always nice to have, like a text of like, hey, there might be some suspicious activity. But like, what are some of the other things that like we can do to verify or to feel more comfortable with like the connections or communications that we're going to have from people who we do financial business with?
Yeah, so it goes back to really verifying that communication. So you you gave the example of receiving a text message. So that's another way people try to get or scamming people is you might receive a text message and it says, your financial institution, you spent $500 at Amazon, click this link. Where, okay, click this link to find out and to solve it so we can stop this transaction from going through. And that link might say have your financial institution name in it, but it's not the .org. They might have .cc, or there's more to that URL that's telling you that this is a suspicious text message. So you get something like that. Those text messages most financial institutions offer, and those are really beneficial. But instead of clicking that link, again, call the number that's on the back of your card to verify. if you get a phone call, say, I'm not comfortable talking to you on the phone, hang up and I will call back. We will always recommend you can contact our contact center and then get the information when you know you're trusting the person on this other side of the phone. It's don't trust when you get that text message, that phone call. You really need to know who is calling you before you give up any information when you're speaking to somebody.
Well, and I appreciate that, because the text message I got, it was actually a request to call the bank.
Yeah.
It was, Danika's having a hard, is she getting all verklempt at this conversation?
Yeah, like a.
We're all experiencing allergies right now. But always, rule of thumb, always call the institution. It's great to have these notifications, but always call the institution on your own doing, not go by the link that they provide you.
Yes, and you could also don't click a link to log into somewhere, or go to the app that you trust, or go to the website you trust and log in. Because if there's a transaction on your card, it's going to be on your online banking statement in those transactions. So you could go to that avenue and look before you're like react. One of the big things fraudsters try to do is make you react without thinking, because they want to make you feel the pressure. Oh, you need to click this link to stop that $500 now, or else you're out that $500. It doesn't work like that. You want to go in, you want to take a breath and think before you react, and that really is what fraudsters thrive on.
Well, as we think about the holidays, and in the middle of the holidays right now, and that's when we seem to see a lot more activity, especially on our credit cards and financial transactions. And it's a easy way of doing business. If you go to a local business and you drop your debit card or your credit card, how can we be more aware of the activity with our finances, and take measures to strengthen that? Part of it is checking our online account. There are some folks, and I'm thinking of my mother actually, who is 81 years old, who is not necessarily technologically savvy. So let's look at it from a couple of different ability perspectives of ways that we can check our finances, especially if we're finding that we're using our electronic, either debit card or credit card, or our bank or electronic transfer or anything like that.
Yeah, so we need to be monitoring our statements monthly, go through all the transactions, make sure they're all yours, account for all of the finances regularly if you're not online. If you are using online banking, I would recommend log in at least once a day to review anything on your online banking with any of your financial institutions, and your credit card statements. So anything that you have, financial wise, you should be reviewing regularly. And set alerts. So most financial institutions, Nusenda included, you can go in and set alerts when your balance goes to a specific dollar amount, if a charge goes through, if a login from an unknown source comes through, a new device is registered, anything like that. So you're aware that something is currently happening. Make sure you're using secure websites. Everyone shops online most of the time. Amazon's a big one. So make sure the URL you're going to isn't something you see in social media. Make sure you go directly to the site itself or to the store, and that you're purchasing from a legitimate business. I would also say update your passwords. Make sure it's not your dog's name, your child's name, your date of birth. Make sure that it's secure. It's not written down anywhere someone has access to, and you don't use the same passwords for every account that you log into. That's a really big one, because if one account gets breached or hacked and you use the same password, that password could be saved and attempted at other institutions to try and get access.
But I have to tell you, it's so hard to remember all these passwords.
Yes.
I know.
There are password managers. Those are out there to help you. If any smartphone these days, if you have one, has a password manager on it, there are apps for it. I would, talk to somebody, your financial institution, Nusenda. We are always happy to answer those questions and give recommendations to secure your passwords. Well, I also add a couple things where if you're at the store and you're, shopping at the store, to avoid your card getting skimmed, is you want to make sure that when you enter your card into the transaction that you're checking out, is it's not a fake thing to read the card. So you can wiggle the ports to make sure it's actually legitimate. Or at the gas station, one of the most common places to get your card skimmed, they have these red little safety tags. If those are ripped or any altered on there, those don't use that gas station. Move away, because that's a good indication that somebody broke in there and is now can skim your card.
Yeah, and so it's like this little adapter that goes onto the face of a card reader, like at a gas pump. And so you can wiggle those, because I've tried that too, because I'm fully aware of that. And so if you can wiggle those, don't use that card reader.
Yep.
Correct.
And ATMs too, same thing.
Yeah.
You can wiggle it to understand, okay, is this actually attached to the the ATM or your card reader, and you want to make sure you do that little extra step, because that could prevent your card from being skimmed.
Well, and I know that everything is supposed, I'm totally sounding like my grandmother now, but it's just like, oh, back in the good old days when we used checks and cash. But certainly recognize the convenience of what we've got. So with that, we've got to be really kind of cognizant of that and kind of diligent about making sure that we're all right with it. And so given those, as we finish up today, you've talked about some of the ways that we can go ahead and protect our finances and make sure that we're not victims of fraud. And really grateful that, Nusenda, like if any of this seems overwhelming, you can go into your local Nusenda office, and I'll give that information in just a minute, and they'll work with you on that. Any of your financial institutions should have somebody who will work with you on that, on making sure that because ultimately, the bank is the one who works on securing those funds back, not paying those charges, all of that stuff. And so it's really a partnership that we all have with our financial institutions to make sure that our finances are secure. And so, Danika and Erik, as we finish, what are some of those basic ways? You've touched on some of them, but what are some of the basic ways that we can do to make sure that somebody doesn't get access to our hard-earned money?
Yeah, as Danika said, create strong passwords. Don't use unique, your dog's name and an exclamation point on all the passwords. Create strong ones and make them not related to you. Again, with those password managers, those can suggest passwords for you that are very strong and very secure, and you want different passwords for each website. She also stated on regularly review your financial statements. That will help you catch something. So if it did happen, that's not a problem. We will make sure it's taken care of, and we will secure it for you. Another one is enable two-factor authentication, which is log into your account, you'll get a text message or another alert. So you could say, yes, this is me logging into my account. So you understand that if somebody logged into your account and it wasn't you, you can then get that alert, and then to contact your financial institution to update them that there's potentially been somebody logging into your account, and you want to protect it and shut it down. Educating yourself is one of the best ways, is watching videos like this. Nusenda here recently, we started a fraud and cyber workshop that we are hosting up for our members, which has become a really big hit for some of our members. So we're educating them. We're getting that education out there. We don't want to keep this secret. So we want to make sure everyone is educated. We want to share as much knowledge as we can. So whether you come through us or you reach out to your financial institution, I'm sure they're willing to educate you, as you were saying, because we're here to protect you, and that's one of our best, most important goals.
Well, and I think this is it seems like it's overwhelming, and I think of people who are a little bit older in age on how the idea of the technology can just be intimidating and scary. But you also have to think about the headache that would happen if somebody stole your information, and then you have to cancel your credit cards, you have to redirect whatever automatic payments are coming out. I mean, the hassle up front is worth it more than the hassle that you have to do to solve it. And so you prompted me. I'm going to go and change my passwords. I'm gonna modify them a little bit because they're not necessarily like what you're suggesting, but I should probably modify my passwords. So
I would recommend that.
yeah, no, I'm grateful for that. But Erik and Danika, it's lovely to talk with you, and thank you so much for your advice on ways to take care of to prevent fraud from happening to us and to people we know. Love that we're able to have that conversation.
Thank you for
having
us.
Absolutely. Our series, Nusenda's Financial Well-being Tips, drops every second Monday. of the month. And if you'd like more information on the services provided by Nusenda, you can go to nusenda.org or call our local branch here in Las Cruces at 575-523-7750, or go by their office at 1715 East University Avenue. You can also find all of our financial well-being tips at locallascruces.com/Nusenda. Thanks again, Erik and Danika. It was lovely meeting you, and I look forward to talking with you again in the future. Hopefully not because we're talking about ways to clean up our fraud prevention, but that ways to be proactive and excited about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day.